if we're talking and you're interested in me and you hit me up first and you made the first move, all right? This is why we're talking, right? And your energy starts shifting and you like talk to me every now and then, whatever. If you're not texting me, I'm not going to text you. Like, I'm not going to text you first. That's the one thing that, like, I guess it's too much to ask for. I've been hurt too many times, and it's not the person that I'm entertaining. It's not their fault, but it's just my way of thinking, like my boundaries, my expectations. Like, I refuse to text a man first. It feels like I'm chasing. It feels like I'm desperate, especially if their communication is not consistent. No Pookie. That's not the way it works. What will happen is that I'll just get out of your life.
Here's why most people prefer to stay single in 2025. Because social media has convinced everyone that the other side is the enemy. The algorithm will show her content that says men are the problem, and it will show him content that says women are the problem. Now everyone's guarded, everyone's jaded, and everyone's looking for red flags instead of real connection. Tell me I'm wrong.
It seems there is this real disconnect at the moment between men and women. Both men and women are choosing to not go into relationships, to remain single because it is easier. Men may be choosing, OnlyFans or porn or something else to get what they need, whereas women are just choosing to be the independent women. I can buy myself flowers type things, such as what Miley Cyrus says. And that's where we're at, because it's easier. But what does that mean now for the future? Not just for, society in general, but for you. What does that mean? It's easier now, yes, but boring. It'll be boring. When we can commit to a two-bodied, loving relationship, there is so much pleasure, so much love, so much enjoyment to be had together.
She said there's a wave of both men and women choosing to stay single because it's easier. And honestly, she's right about one thing. It is easier. But what no one wants to admit is why people, especially men, are choosing that route. Men didn't suddenly give up on love or companionship. They got tired of being blamed, unappreciated, and constantly compared. They chose peace over chaos. And who could really blame them? For years, women were told they don't need men. They were encouraged to focus on independence, careers, and self-prioritization, while relationships were treated like disposable options. But now that men are doing the same, stepping back, walking away, and protecting their energy, suddenly it's a problem. Suddenly, people are calling it soul-destroying. The irony is painful because men are simply reacting to a culture that women help create. This easy lifestyle may look attractive at first glance, but it comes with emptiness. Many women are starting to realize that no level of success or freedom replaces genuine connection and emotional security. Yet, instead of self-reflection, there's blame shifting. Men are not walking away from love. They're walking away from environments where they're constantly tested, doubted, or undervalued. What's truly soul-destroying isn't being single. It's pretending that disconnection is empowerment. Women turn vulnerability into weakness, partnership into competition, and loyalty into an outdated idea. Now, they're wondering why men are disengaging, why they become emotionally distant. It's not confusion, it's consequence. When respect leaves a table, love doesn't stay seated. So yes, staying single might seem comfortable now, but when the silence grows heavier, it'll become clear that easy was just temporary relief. Men didn't break the bond between the genders. Women.
The thing that I realized this year is that there is a reason why the nerdy, gamer boys that don't talk to girls are single. You will find out very quickly why they're single. They are manipulators. Especially the cute gamers. Oh, the weird ones. But, you're cute. Don't do it. Don't do it. So I'm getting to a stage in my life where it's damn, the cute people really do not have any personality. I need, that good balance. You're cute, but you're funny. But that doesn't exist.
You can hear her clearly. She said there's a good reason why these so-called weird gamer boys are single. Then she went on calling them manipulative, narcissistic liars. Really? That's the mindset we're dealing with today. Men who stay out of trouble, focus on their hobbies, and enjoy their personal space are now being insulted simply because they're not chasing validation or playing by women's emotional rules. These gamer men aren't the villains she's trying to paint them as. They're calm, focused, and often some of the most loyal individuals you'll meet. They've simply stepped away from a dating culture that punishes honesty and rewards manipulation. Women build a world where men are constantly tested, ridiculed, and labeled for not conforming. When those same men decide to live on their own terms, suddenly they become the enemy. Women constantly talk about acceptance, but they don't practice it. They claim to support individuality, yet they criticize any man who doesn't fit into their fantasy of what a real man should be. If he's emotional, he's weak. If he's quiet, he's boring. If he's confident, he's arrogant. No matter what he does, it's never enough. The standards keep shifting, and every time men adapt, they still get condemned. Women lash out because these men no longer give them control. They're not desperate for approval anymore, and that frustrates those who used to thrive on male attention. Instead of looking inward, they project their bitterness outward, using insults to cover up insecurity. Deep down, they sense that men have finally woken up, that they've stopped playing a losing game. When she calls gamer men narcissists or liars, it's not a reflection of those men. It's a mirror of her own behavior. These men are not broken. They're simply choosing peace over drama. Women turn companionship into competition, connection into conflict, and now they're left wondering why men are walking away. It's not mystery, it's consequence.
I'm independent. I don't need no man taking care of me.
Cool, then you pay for your food and I'll pay for mine.
Wow. So you're really that broke? You can't even cover a first date? Unbelievable.
The switch up is so for real, and it's a huge indicator that you have a woman sitting in front of you that is just going to compete with you and never respect you and always play games with you. Because in the end all, she's just trying to prove that she's the greater person simply because she's a woman.
She proudly said she's strong and independent, that she doesn't need any man to take care of her. The guy nodded, respected her statement, and treated her exactly the way she claimed to want, as an equal. When the bill came, he calmly suggested they split it. And just like that, her entire attitude changed. Suddenly, independence didn't sound so appealing anymore. She went from confident to offended in seconds. That reaction alone speaks volumes about the contradiction many women live in today. They preach equality until it requires accountability. They say they want partnership, not patriarchy, but still expect men to carry all the weight when it's convenient. How can a man take your independent woman, talk seriously when you crumble the moment it's time to act on it? That's not empowerment. That entitlement wrapped in a modern disguise. The guy did nothing wrong by suggesting a 50-50 split. In fact, he was respecting her words, meeting her at her own level. But instead of appreciating that fairness, she twisted it into disrespect. She called him rude for not paying the full bill, yet she's the one who made it clear she doesn't need a man to do anything for her. The gaslighting in that situation was unreal, turning his courtesy into a fault just to play the victim. What's really happening is that a lot of women still want traditional benefits without traditional values. They want equality when it favors them and chivalry when it's convenient. They don't want to build together. They want a man to sponsor their lifestyle while still claiming independence. It's an emotional game that honest men are tired of playing. That man shouldn't even consider a second date because she already showed her true mindset. When a woman says she's independent, a man should believe her and act accordingly. The moment she gets offended for being treated equally, that's proof she was never genuine about independence in the first place. A relationship built on double standards will never stand. Men deserve respect, not manipulation dressed as feminism. She didn't want equality, she wanted advantage. And that alone makes her unworthy of his time, effort, or even that first meal.
I think in 2025, men should be men again, because they've turned into divas.
Sometimes it dawns upon me that there are some young ladies on this app who truly believe that the problem in dating nowadays is like men and like just men. Like, bro, how dare these men want us to make our interest in them clear? How dare they want us to put effort into the relationship? Well, this guy wants to feel wanted and desired. He wants to feel special the same way I want to feel special. Oh, no, get him out of here. How dare these men want me to do anything. Want men to start being emotionally available, but only make the emotions available that I want them to be feeling. What is it that they think they do or think they are that makes them like deserve such a high level of treatment while displaying themselves a very low level of treatment? I'm genuinely confused, okay? And there are plenty of situations in which men are the problem, but like this in particular, like this issue of like men being like, oh, like please be nice to me, that's not one of them. I'll say this right now, the only difference between how they want to be treated and how someone would expect someone to treat like a 10-year-old is like they also want to like sleep with this man, theoretically, in theory. Let's say you give like these young ladies everything they want, okay, but take out the romantic element, okay, like no kissing, you know, no, obviously no bedroom athletics. How similar would that be to how you would literally treat your child? You know what I'm saying? And it's like we make these arguments before, and it's like I don't know if they can't understand it. I don't know if they just like don't care that they're being treated like a child or want to be treated like a child. I genuinely don't know. I'm just saying this is very odd. Like this is an odd thing. This is an odd discourse to have. Like I don't know how it's even a discussion. Oh, and also I don't know if I said it on this account before, but yeah, again, my content it's gonna go back to normal soon. But like I keep having a bunch of originality violations on my videos. So it's like when I post videos that are like eligible for like the creativity program or whatever, and they get flagged, like you can't have too many flagged in like a short period of time because then they'll like, you know, literally take you out the program, and it's like, bro, that's how I make my money. So the only thing I can do without risking another originality violation on this account is stitches. So that's why not a lot has been coming from this page. However, I am very active on my backup accounts, Black Fiona Apple and Black Shawn Michaels. Check those out if you feel so inclined. But yeah, give me a couple days and it's gonna be back to business as usual. So yeah.
After years of saying they don't need men, after decades of pushing independence and girl power, suddenly they want traditional men back? It's funny how quickly the narrative changes when reality starts hitting. They demanded sensitivity, softer emotions, and vulnerability, but now they're complaining that men aren't masculine enough. For years, women insisted on tearing down every trace of traditional masculinity. They said men were too cold, too controlling, too emotionless. They wanted men to open up, to cry, to be more expressive. Now that men have done exactly that, the same women are calling them weak and saying they miss real men. That's not progress. That's confusion fueled by double standards. Many women wanted to escape patriarchy, but still keep the parts that benefit them. They reject traditional gender roles until it comes time to pay bills, fix things, or take on hard labor. Then suddenly, they remember they want a man who leads. You can't pick and choose equality when it fits your comfort. You can't demand power, then expect protection without responsibility. That's not partnership. That's hypocrisy. The craziest part is how quickly some of these same women flipped the narrative. They fought to dismantle toxic masculinity, and that was fair when it was about balance and respect. But now, they're shaming the very emotional growth they once demanded. Men can't win in a system that keeps shifting the goalposts. Be tough, but not too tough. Be open, but not too open. Be masculine, but only when they say so. If women truly believe in equality, then they need to stop rewriting the rules every time it suits their emotions. Men have evolved, adapted, and listened, but it's never enough because the expectations keep changing. You can't call yourself a feminist while longing for the same traditional men you claim to outgrow. Either embrace equality fully or accept that you were never fighting for fairness, just for control.
So go watch Tinks's video, I'll link it below. But what this says is that 45% of men aged 18 to 25 have never asked a woman out in person. All right, hopefully you watched her video, because what she's saying is that that's bad, right? That 45% of men, young men, aren't asking girls out. And what's going to happen now? What's going to happen with AI chatbots? The fact that ChatGPT is now going to allow adult content on its platform. Like, that's bad, right? And I listened to a podcast this week with Scott Galloway, pearl clutching over the fact that, oh my God, ChatGPT is now going to be interactive with adult content. And what's so fucking dumb, what's so goddamn stupid about all of this is that the reason boys, young men, 18 to 25, aren't asking women out in the first place is because of the adult content they already consume. This problem is not in the future. This problem is now. You are seeing the result of smartphones that are jammed, packed with endless, free, adult content. These boys who are now 18 to 25 have been watching adult movies since they were 8, 9, 10 years old. They were so raised on it and so impacted by it that they don't even bother to ask girls out. Why would they? They have all the tits and ass they want in the palm of their hands. I have written articles on this. I have made a bunch of videos on this. I have been talking about this for years now. And what's even more wild is that on this podcast where Scott Galloway was talking about it, he said it's age gated. He says that adult content online is age gated just like gambling and just like cigarettes and alcohol. What internet are you using, Scott? Because I'll tell you what, I could hand my phone to a toddler right now and they could type in boobies and see every size and flavor imaginable. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, okay? But this problem, these young men who have jerked themselves out of existence for the most part, these young men who don't have the mojo to ask a girl out, they don't have the mojo to get out of the basement, they don't have the mojo to go to school or get a job. These young men got this way because in 2008, we decided to jam all earthly delights into a palm-sized device that they could take into their bedroom and they could take into their bathroom. Gone were the days of having to sit, in the family computer, at the desk, in the kitchen, or wherever, in front of, God and everyone. Right? Maybe you got to see something download over time. Maybe you got to find a Playboy in the woods. Maybe you got to see a VCR tape that your friend had or something like that. Instead, it's all in the palm of their hands. And you think that them being able to talk to it is going to make that big of a difference? Like men want to hear a bitch say anything to start with. Okay? So those pearls you're clutching now, they done been clenched. They should have been anyway. For 15 fucking years now. What we are seeing with young men now is the result of free online adult content access. We gave them all crack and walked away. What are you doing to change that?
A new study shows that 45% of men aged 18 to 25 have never asked a woman out in person. Now women are suddenly frustrated and confused, wondering why men aren't approaching anymore. They're calling it a crisis, saying dating has become lifeless and disconnected. But here's the thing. They created this very situation. Men didn't just stop asking women out for no reason. They simply got tired of being shamed, rejected, or accused for doing what used to be normal. For years, women have been preaching independence and pushing men away with phrases like, "I don't need a man." They mocked chivalry, labeled compliments as harassment, and turned dating into a psychological minefield. Men noticed. Why would a guy risk embarrassment, public humiliation, or being misunderstood just for trying to connect? It's not fear holding men back. It's self-preservation. When every approach is viewed as creepy, every compliment called objectifying, and every effort labeled thirsty, men start to withdraw. They learn that silence is safer than sincerity. They learn that no matter how polite or respectful they are, some women will twist their actions into negativity. And now that men are keeping to themselves, the same women who built this wall are crying that no one's climbing over it. It's ironic. For so long, women claimed they wanted men to respect boundaries and stop being aggressive. Now that men are calm, reserved, and focused on themselves, they're being called emotionally unavailable or socially awkward. You can't demand that men change, then complain when the change doesn't suit your convenience. Women wanted control, and now they have it, but it came at the cost of connection. Men are no longer playing a game that punishes them for simply being men. They're protecting their peace and refusing to chase people who don't value genuine effort. Women can't shame masculinity for years, then suddenly beg for it to return when loneliness sets in. If they want men to start engaging again, it begins with accountability. Respect must go both ways, or this generation will keep drifting further apart.
Question for the men. Why is it that men have completely stopped approaching women in public? I feel like back in the day, like 90s, early 2000s, it was so common for men to just come up to women and pay them a compliment or ask them out on a date. And I feel like that doesn't happen anymore. What's up? What's up, guys?
She said she has a question for men. Why have men completely stopped approaching women in public? The answer is simple. Men are tired of being mocked, rejected harshly, and disrespected for simply trying to start a conversation. For years, women told men to stop approaching them, to leave them alone, to respect boundaries. Men listened. Now that they've done exactly that, women are acting surprised. The same society that once called it creepy when a man said hello is now calling it sad that no one talks anymore. You can't spend years telling men they make you uncomfortable just for showing interest, then suddenly expect them to switch back on like nothing happened. Men stopped approaching because every attempt turned into a risk, not just a rejection, but embarrassment and public humiliation. Women demanded distance, and men respected that request. They stopped flirting on the street, stopped complimenting, stopped initiating. Now those same women are complaining that dating feels empty and that men seem cold and disconnected. What they fail to understand is that you can't destroy the bridge and then complain that no one's crossing over anymore. Men got tired of being called creeps weird or too forward. They got tired of being recorded and posted online just for saying hi. They realized their peace and self-respect were worth more than forcing interactions with people who already assumed the worst of them. So they pulled back, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. And that's something women still refuse to acknowledge. Women told men to stop, and men finally listened. Now the silence feels uncomfortable, and the same women who demanded space are wondering where all the men went. You can't shame natural behavior for years and expect connection to survive. The truth is, men didn't disappear. They just stopped participating in a game where they could never win.
Okay, I'm like sick and tired because it feels like every single Christian person that I talk to, at least like within my own community who's single, is just like, it's impossible to meet good people, like good Christian ladies or good Christian men. And I know that they're out there, even though some of y'all are hiding. All that say, it feels like there's this epidemic in the Christian dating community. And so if you're a legitimate believer, like you love Jesus, you roll with the Trinity, God, Holy Spirit, Jesus is your tribe, comment in the section below if you're single and you're open to someone sliding into your DMs. Make sure you comment, obviously, your name, your age, and state you live in. And let this be like a pool of healthy Christian interactions with other singles. And if something happens, then all I ask is that you invite me to the wedding. Okay, bye.
She said she's tired of talking to Christian men in her community because, according to her, there's some kind of Christian man epidemic. That statement alone shows how far things have shifted. Women are now frustrated that men who are supposed to live by faith, discipline, and morality are not given the attention they expect. But here's the truth. These men haven't changed. Women have simply stopped valuing the type of men they claim to want. Christian men today are standing firm on boundaries, principles, and self-control. They're no longer falling for emotional manipulation or giving into guilt trips disguised as connection. And that bothers a lot of women who are used to getting validation and attention easily. When these men start focusing on purpose, not lust, it exposes who's genuinely interested in faith and who's just playing church for convenience. For years, women said they wanted godly men who are respectful, spiritual, and family-minded. But when they meet those exact men, they get bored, call them too strict, or say they're not fun enough. They want a man who's holy, but still worldly, faithful, but still thrilling. The contradiction is exhausting. You can't demand a man of God, then get upset when he actually lives by biblical standards. The so-called Christian man epidemic isn't a crisis. It's a reflection of accountability finally catching up. These men are no longer chasing women who preach purity on Sunday and post something else by Friday. They want consistency. And when they don't see it, they walk away quietly. Women don't like that silence because it means they've lost influence over men who used to tolerate double standards. Women can't call themselves believers while rejecting the very men who embody faith. What's really happening is that Christian men are protecting their peace, focusing on spiritual growth, and refusing to settle for hypocrisy. That's not an epidemic. That's awakening. The problem isn't with the men. It's with women who only want religion when it's convenient for their lifestyle. Men, keep standing tall. Don't let this world guilt you into weakness or convince you to abandon your values. Strength isn't about dominance. It's about direction, discipline, and purpose. Every time you choose peace over chaos, principles over pressure, and growth over games, you're proving that real manhood still exists. They'll say you've changed. They'll call you cold. They'll mock your standards because they can't control a man who refuses to settle for less. But remember, a man grounded in faith and self-respect is a man who can't be broken. Stay focused on your mission and never apologize for being exactly who you were designed to be. And before I wrap this up, I want to thank every single one of you who's been watching, sharing, and supporting this channel. Your voices matter. Your presence means everything. You're not just followers. You're part of a growing community of men who refuse to be silenced or shamed for standing in truth. Keep liking, commenting, and spreading this message because together we're reminding the world that strong men still exist, and we're not going anywhere